Rockline welcomes Roger Waters.
Thank you very much.
Nice to see you here this evening. Why don't we deal right now at the top of the show so that we can get it out of the way, so to speak, with Pink Floyd. What is the status? And then we'll move on from there.
It's over, I think.
Just that simple. It's over. You can call it part of your past now.
Yeah. Other people, I think, have other opinions about it, but you'd have to speak to them about it.
Second thing I want to ask you right off the bat here is, what is holophonic sound? Can you briefly explain what that is? You're the first to use this new innovation that I know of, anyway.
Yeah, I can explain it. It's a way of recording sound so that you experience where the sound is coming from. You can identify where the sound is coming from. I mean, I can explain how it's done if you want.
Yeah, oh yeah, go ahead.
All right. How can I put it simply? It's been invented by a man called Hugo Zuccarelli, who's an Argentinian physiologist, I think, primarily, who became interested in how people identify where sounds are coming from, and decided it was nothing to do with the fact that we have two ears, because even people who are completely deaf in one ear can still do it. And in the end, he developed a theory, God knows how, that we all emit a tone, an ultrasonic sound, noise, and that our brain interprets the interference patterns created by incoming high-frequency signals and this outgoing tone, and that we decode that, and that's how we establish where things are in space, which sounds pretty unlikely, but it works. He then built a dummy head, built something to transmit a tone of this kind, built the encoder and decoder, and made recordings using it, and you can hear up and down and all round and side to side, and it's quite an extraordinary effect.
So not just left, right, up and down, it's
up and down,
spatial
all round.
relationships.
Yes, it's all round.
And it sounds better in headphones, I understand.
Yes, Walkman can, point source cans, as close to the eardrum as you can get them, give you the best effect.
Now, we are going to play a couple of live songs tonight from Roger's recent concert tour, which is a treat, first of all, and secondly, it's in holophonic sound, so go get some headphones if you don't have some right now, preferably the Walkman type if you can, and you'll see what we're talking about a little bit later on. Right now, we're going to start with a song, then we'll put you on the air with Roger Waters on Rockline this evening. This is The Pros and Cons of Hitchhiking. And with Roger Waters this evening, we have our first phone call for Roger. It's from Toms River, New Jersey, and it's a guy named Tom, oddly enough, listening to YSPN in Philadelphia. Tom, you're on the air.
Yeah, hi. Roger?
Hi.
Yeah, this new album you have, The Pros and Cons of Hitchhiking?
Yeah.
Was that like a dream, or was that something that happened to you, or some
storyline?
No.
It's a story about a man dreaming.
About a man?
But it's not a dream of mine, specifically.
Yeah, and what are the pros and cons of hitchhiking?
That's a question I can't answer.
This has got to be a metaphor for something else. Hitchhiking is the base.
Hitchhiking is used in this to tell the story as an allegory, yeah.
All right, good call there, Tom. Thanks. We'll get into this a little more, I think, as the evening goes on. We have our first Canadian call. Anthony, you should write down that you're the first guy that called from Canada to get on Rockline. From St. Alban, Alberta, listening to K97 in Edmonton. Anthony, you're on.
Oh, hi. Roger.
Yeah.
I'd like to ask you, in the States, your album, The Pros and Cons, they put censor blocks on the girl there. Up here in Canada, they didn't do that. And in some parts of Europe, I heard they did that. How do you feel about them doing that to your album?
I think it's silly.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It's,
I think it's rather infantile.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It's not showing nothing. I don't see why they do that.
No, neither do I. It's quite beyond me.
Yeah? Well, anyways, I'd like to tell you have a good album and you're a great man and everything.
Well, thank you very much.
Okay.
Thanks for the call there, Anthony. We appreciate it. How did you feel when you found out that some people wouldn't carry the album unless it had been censored like that?
Well, particularly Middle America, they have some very prurient attitudes to these things.
I'm going to leave that where it is. And we'll move to another
it's
call.
not worth discussing, really.
You're right.
It's pathetic.
We have a call from Long Beach. It's Eric listening to 95.5 KLOS. You're on the show, Eric.
Hi, Roger.
Hi.
It's a real pleasure to talk to you. And my first question, first of all, is who are the people in your touring band right now, and how did you select them?
Yeah.
And my second question deals with your songwriting. When you're doing a long project, an album's worth of material, do you first decide generally that you're going to write about a specific theme, or do you look back through your catalog of songs you haven't put on an album yet and say, oh, these go well together, this seems to point towards this direction, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, well, perhaps I better deal with that first, because I will have forgotten what it was if I try and answer the other question first. There's no general way that I have of putting things together. I think, the first real concept album was Dark Side of the Moon, I suppose. And maybe one of the sides of On Metal, Echoes, had a vague kind of concept running through it. I think maybe the idea comes, and then I look through stuff that I've got lying around, and then I have to start writing a lot more stuff to fill in all the spaces. And then when I've finished a rough draft, I say, no, I don't like that, and I tear it all apart and start again. And I tend to fiddle about with it a lot until I get it into a shape that I like. So there's no real hard and fast rule, though.
And the other question was...
The other question is the band. I have Andy Newmark playing drums. I think we're going to play something with him on a bit later, actually.
Yeah, we are, as a matter of fact. Yeah.
Right. Some of the stuff he did with Lennon. Michael Kamen is playing keyboards, who did all the arrangements on The Wall and also co-produced the final cut and the pros and cons with me. Mel Collins is playing saxophone, who also I think we're going to play something of a bit later. I have a new young English guitarist called Jay Stapley, who's a great find. And two English girl singers, Doreen Chanter and Katie Cassoon, who've been on many things. And Andy Fairweather Lowe, who is another guitarist and singer who used to be in a band called Amen Corner in the 60s, and then made albums in his own right. And I believe he's about to start making albums in his own right again. I think he's just done a deal with Warner Brothers, so you can expect stuff from him in the future.
Well, that becomes a very nice lead-in into a live song. We're going to play something that was taken from one of the recent concert appearances by Roger, and this is in holophonic sound, I understand. Another Brick in the Wall Part 2.
That's right. Yeah, God, I hope I haven't. Have I forgotten anyone?
Think about it there, because I'm going to go ahead and roll the cut here. You've got a couple of more seconds. I'm Bob Coburn with Roger Waters, my guest for the full show tonight. Our next phone call comes from Ravenna, Ohio. It's Carl. He's listening to MMS in Cleveland. Hi, Carl.
Oh, hi, Raj.
Hi, Carl.
First of all, I want to tell you it's a great honor for me to finally get to speak to you. Your music's really influenced my life a lot. First, I got a question here. How much of your music is actually influenced by your own experiences, in particular the death of your father, if you care to talk about it?
Well, all my music's influenced by my experiences. You know, none of it is. Well, no, I don't need to enlarge on that really. The bits that are influenced by the death of my father are pretty self-evident. You know, The Wall. Well, quite a lot of The Wall and quite a lot of the final cut.
Final cut, yeah. So there you go, Carl, and keep listening.
But there's none of it. I never sit down with a piece of paper and think, oh, well, I think I'll write a song now. You know, guy's got to make a living. I only write songs when I try and leave myself open to the things that happen to me, to allow them to affect me in such a way that sometime I'll sit down at the piano and express the feelings that I have about the things that have happened to me and the things that I see going on in the world.
So you write when the muse strikes and not just to write all the time.
Absolutely, yeah.
Good call, Carl. Appreciate it. We have Eric on the line. He's in Norfolk, Virginia. Our station there is FM 99 WNOR. Hi, Eric.
Hello, Roger.
Yep.
I'd like to say that I'm one of your biggest supporters, and I've got nearly everything you've put on vinyl over the years.
Good man.
And I find your music to be very original and exciting.
Thank you.
I'd like to ask you tonight, what differences do you see between playing live today and playing live at places like the Roundhouse, Marquee, or the UFO Club in the 60s? Do you still find it as exciting?
I can't remember.
Honestly?
No, I mean, I cannot remember what gigs were like in the 60s. I mean, if I really think about it, I can remember what the place looked like, and I can remember what clothes I was wearing, and I can remember my Rickenbacker bass, and I can remember stuff like that, but I can't remember what the feeling was like.
Interesting. Thanks, Eric. Appreciate it. Let's try Tom this time around. He's in Batesville, Indiana. He's listening to Dayton's WTUE. Hi.
Hi, Raj.
Yeah, just to finish the question to that other caller, I mean, I can remember stuff more recently than that. I remember what it was like doing stadiums in 1977.
I was going to say the Animals tour, which you did a lot of outside shows.
That was a living death. That was awful. But I don't really go back to the 60s. Anyway, sorry, who's this?
This is Tom.
Hi, Roger.
Hi, Tom.
I just wanted to ask you a couple of questions about the movie The Wall.
Yeah.
What was it like working with Bob Geldof, and how did you feel that the movie came out? Was it what you expected, and did it tie in with the album?
No. Working with Bob Geldof was great. I really like him. He's a really nice man. I thought the movie was a bit too busy. I thought it was unremitting in its assault upon the senses in such a way that it made it rather hard to watch, all in one chunk. I think it's quite good if you watch it, on video or something, and you watch it about a quarter of an hour at a time. But I'm too close to it, really, to be a good person to ask about it. Well, by the time the thing was finished, I had it right up past my hairline, and I'd had enough. So I'm a bit jaundiced about it, I'm afraid.
You may not want to hear me say this, but I enjoyed parts of the movie, like I'm sure a lot of other people. My one overall impression, though, was if this person was in so much angst and pain, why didn't he leave that situation?
Yeah.
That would have been the easy way out. Just divorce himself of that situation.
Very good question. Excellent question. Well, he did, didn't he? He turned into the pink blob.
You're right. In a way, he did at the end. And which one's pink? This is Sexual Revolution on Rockline. Roger Waters on Rockline this evening. Let's take a call from Amherst, Massachusetts. 106 HCN in Hartford is our affiliate that Debbie's listening to. Debbie, you're on the show.
Hi, Roger.
Hi, Debbie.
Hi. I just wanted to say thank you so much. You've meant so much to my life. You've had the courage to reveal your biggest fears and fantasies to the world.
Thank you.
And let people identify with you, and it's so important to so many people. I was just wondering, how did you get together with Eric Clapton on your last tour, and what was it like touring with him?
Well, when I was starting to make the album, I was running through guitar players and thinking, and then I thought, well, maybe I'll just ask Eric if he'll do it. I didn't really know him very well, but I had a phone number somewhere. So I just called him up, and I think he was staggered that I'd asked him. And so he said, well, he'd come and listen to the demo that I'd made of the whole piece. He came along and listened to it, and he liked it. So he said he'd make the album, which we did. And I wasn't thinking of taking this thing on the road at all. And then one day he said to me, you got to do this live, Roger. And I said, no. And then I thought about it. I thought, hang on, is he telling me that he'd go out on the road as my guitar player? And so I went back to him the next day. I said, are you saying you'd come out on the road, as a guitar player? And he said, yeah, of course I would. So I was seduced by that, of the idea of going out with Al on the road. And then I started to get interested, and then I started to have a few ideas about what the show might be like and how one might produce it, and one thing led to another, and here I am.
How come Eric did not end up going out on the road with you, out of curiosity?
Well, he did.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, we did 8 weeks last summer.
Oh, you did?
We did 6 weeks in Europe, and then we did 2 weeks up in the northeast here.
Ah, well, that's why. Being here in the southwestern part of the country, I missed that part.
Yeah, he's not here now because he's just released an album, and I think he starts here in a couple of weeks' time.